Hello everyone. I am Cristiana Moriconi, didactic coordinator of the executive courses in service design for POLI.design, the consortium of the Politecnico of Milan. And I'm very pleased to meet Marc Fonteijn, leading voice in the global service design community and founder of the Service Design Show. So hello, Marc. Um, with years of experience at the intersection of service design, organizational change, and professional communities, Marc has closely observed how the discipline is evolving and how the skills required from service designers are shifting. And at a time when complexity, AI, and impact measurement are reshaping the field of service design, upskilling becomes essential. And in this conversation, we will explore what service designers need to develop today to remain relevant and influential within organizations. So, thank you, Marc, again. I will start asking you something, if you
Sure.
are agree.
Yeah,
And
sure.
uh, perfect. As first question, you have been working at the intersection of service design and professional communities for many years, and looking at how service design has evolved until today. What do you see as the most significant shift in service design competencies and practices for the upcoming future?
AI.
Okay.
No, yeah, we can be very brief, but maybe it's good to set some context. So I've been in service design since 2007, so that is close to 20 years. I think I've seen service design go through a lot of phases and evolve quite a bit. Some things change, some things stayed the same. But the change is always different. Like if you asked me this question 10 years ago, I would have said something else than I do right now. So like the answer that I'm going to give is a snapshot in time, and it might again be different in 3 to 5 years. But I think one of the biggest shifts that I'm seeing over the last years is that service design is moving away from a discipline, a practice that is done by an individual into something which is much more realistic. It's becoming much more recognized as a field that is practiced by multiple people with different disciplines. So that I can continue, but that is one of the biggest shifts that I'm seeing.
I will go further with the other couple of questions just because I think that we can do kind of a wrap up at the end of this conversation, even if it could be brief, but could be also kind of insights for our for people that are listening to us. And as a second question for you, ask you that even if in the field of service design people have begun to talk about the impact of AI, how do you think precisely that AI is going to change service design practice and the way service designers understand complexity, frame problems, and make any decisions?
That's a big question, and it requires to look into a glass ball and sort of do predictions about the future, which nobody knows. But I think it's fair to say that it will have an impact, and it's already having an impact. It will have an impact both on the way we do our work, the type of work that we do, but also on the things that we're actually designing. So a service that is driven by AI, enhanced by AI, is different than a service that is not. So just think about, like, let's use a classic example of thinking in journeys. If we map out a journey nowadays across a service, it takes some time before you, I don't know, order something online and then it gets delivered to your doorstep and then you maybe return it. But with AI, one of the big changes is that this process in a journey, the start to end, can get very, very compressed, maybe into a single prompt. Like, we are eliminating potentially a lot of touch points. What does that mean? If we reduce everything back to a single touch point, what are we actually designing? Same goes for, like, this is the left to right journey, but you can also look at journeys from top to bottom, front stage, backstage. Like, if everything is then being squeezed from top to bottom, if there is less backstage, if there's less front stage, the front stage is only a chat window. I don't know. What does it mean for our profession? What are we then actually designing? We're designing the experience, sure. So I think the implications are significant, and that is just by looking at the things that we're designing, and that's not even talking about the influence on how we practice, how we do our work.
Okay, thank you. And speaking about AI, have you ever used AI as a kind of member of the team, of your team, for example, as well as to support your work?
Absolutely, like daily. Yeah.
Daily. Okay, yeah.
Yeah.
Cool. Yeah, because usually, I don't know, maybe most of the time nowadays we use AI mostly to create, for support to our work. But I think that now we are facing the fact that AI could be actually another member. I
Sure.
couldn't say
Yeah.
it differently. Yeah, another member of the team in the process of design services and other things, of course. And it's interesting. It's interesting understanding how this new team member could be prompted and how it could be part of our work
I
directly.
think we will see a divide between people who adopt this, start playing with this, start understanding the limitations and possibilities, because don't believe everything you see in an open AI commercial or in a cloud commercial. That's not all true, but it's really important that you sort of get your hands dirty and understand, okay, what can I do with this? How far can I go? Like, what can I expect of this quote unquote new team member? I think it's crucial. It's a very powerful tool if you know how to use it and how to use it to its full advantage.
Yeah, maybe perhaps there is still some fear surrounding the use of AI still in the service design field, but we can definitely understand better that it's a very powerful tool, and yeah, we
And
will.
with great power comes great responsibility. So, yeah.
Yeah, you're right. And Mark, as a last question, but I mean last question, but if you would like to add something more, you're of course free to do it. Service designers are increasingly asked to demonstrate the value of their work and the impact of solutions they develop over time. And what do you think is needed to help service design gain credibility and increase its influence within organizations? So what do you think about embedding evaluation skills?
That's a question that I honestly have been getting for the last 20 years. I get the question at the same. There are very practical answers, as in, yes, we should. Uh, it's smart to think about how we evaluate our work, to think about how we find evidence that our work is making an impact. Yeah, we need to get better at that for sure. At the same time, if the people who are asking this question, like there is a big assumption under the question that you're asking, and that is that the people who are asking this question are genuinely interested and curious to hear the answer. I don't think that's always the case. And in those situations, it doesn't really matter what answer you give. People will like won't be satisfied anyway. So I think one of the key skills that we need to gain is to understand, who am I talking to, and are they genuinely interested? And if they are, have that conversation and make sure that you are better at asking business question than the business people themselves are. Like, that is a super skill to have. Um, but if the other person or the person on the other end of the conversation is asking the question to test you or to sort of undermine your craft, your confidence, let it go. Like, it's not like you've got better things to do. So one of the big insights for me for the last few years as well is that one of the things that people don't value enough, service design professionals don't value enough, is the emotional and mental capacity that is required to do this work. So it's very easy to learn about how to do journey maps, how to do personas, how to do
Frameworks.
research. That is, but most of our work is actually about collaborating with people, getting buy-in, being patient. Like, you are in the business of delivering change. Design is always about change. And that means that you are going to get pushback because change is friction. How do you deal with that pushback? How do you deal with objections? How do you make sure that it doesn't affect you up to a point where you like lose hope, where you lose joy? How do you start enjoying that tension of doing this work? I think that is like a hugely underestimated and blind spot in our field, and this is also why I'm so excited and bullish about communities of practice. um, it's so much easier to go on this journey together, to have support from people who understand what you're doing, and not do all this work by yourself, because it is absolutely mentally and emotionally draining. So make sure that you have multiple people who are on the same path and you go together.
Yeah, I was talking about, yeah, that it's a very interesting point of view and a very I agree. I agree. We don't pay a lot of attention on these aspects, and even if they are very, very important when you, yeah, because usually service designers are requested to work with a lot of different communities, no? So it could be a corporate team, and I don't know, a community based on that come from I don't know, another territory, rural areas, could be, yeah, different type of person, and Yeah. Um, so I think that we could move on the end of our conversation. Um, Thank you again, because thank you for your availability and for sharing your perspective and experience, Mark. What have emerged from this conversation, from my perspective, is that for sure service design is evolving rapidly, that it requires now the ability to navigate complexity and work in a systemic way, and engage critically with AI, but also um, in a more inclusive way, I could say, and demonstrate tangible impact within organization. This is a point that probably we should keep in mind. And as the discipline grows, so does the need for structured upskilling, so from the academic perspective. And within the service design cluster at POLI.design, we see our courses, for example, as spaces where professionals can strengthen these capabilities, from system thinking to evaluation and impact, and consciously, we hope, evolve their role in response to today's challenges. Mark, we truly appreciate your contribution and hope that this conversation can be the beginning or continuation of a meaningful collaboration with POLI.design, and that could create a valuable exchange between your community and our network, and contributing together to the growth of the service design field. So thank you again for your time and insights, and I hope to see you, speak with you soon. If you want to integrate or add something more, please, I leave you the floor.
No, thank you for the invitation, and continue the work that you're doing.